Hi, I'm Donna Davis, and I'm here with Pamela Snow from Fleming Flooring. She's a designer, and she's here to answer your flooring questions. So thanks for being here, Pamela.
Thank you for having me, Donna. I appreciate it.
Hope you had a nice holiday. Tell us where Fleming is when it comes to COVID right now.
Well, I appreciate that. We did, and everyone did well through the holidays. Right now, currently, because of the numbers increasing with COVID, we have gone back to by appointment only in our showroom. So far, we are working that very well, and possibly will extend that for another week or so, so we can be helpful to our community and to our employees as well, to just honor their time and just to be sure that people stay safe, trying to follow that protocol the best that we can. We are still, continuing to clean and sanitize samples and work surfaces and all of that sort of thing as well.
Were you really busy for the holidays?
We actually were pretty busy. It's amazing how many people want to have things taken care of before the holidays, even in a more limited visitation from family and friends that we experienced this year. But, it's a good time for people. They may have some time off. It's a good time for them to take care of a few things that they had been interested in covering in times past. So we have continued to stay busy, and hopefully we will continue to do so.
I'm sure that you will. People are so much more interested in their homes right now. And to that end, one of the constant destructors of our homes and our flooring are kids and pets. Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do to, help us keep our flooring nicer, both the type of things that you need to buy and look at some of the latest options for stain resistant carpet, as well as how do you clean up, your carpets and your hardwoods after your pets. So let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about some of the best options that you can get for stain resistant carpets.
Well, this is an age-old question, I think, because pets and kids are always going to be making messes, and older kids too, adults as well, but we always tend to focus on that. And there are a lot of good products out there that are more resistant to pets and kids' spills and that sort of thing. As time has gone on, they continue to improve the technology for cleanability and so forth. So from the carpet side of things, if we were talking about carpet in general, a lot of people have gone to a little bit lower pile carpet, a little easier to care for. It's easier to find the stains, find the spills, and to hopefully get those stains out. One of the carpets currently on the market that is very stain resistant. It has a full pet warranty on all types of pet fluids, whether it be just pet having an accident of some sort or bringing in mud, that kind of thing, is Mohawk Smart Strand. The Mohawk Smart Strand is, its technical name or scientific name, whatever you would like to say, is called Triexta, and it is a very stain-resistant carpet. It basically has no open dye sites, so the stains don't penetrate into the fiber. And they're all different types and styles, etc. And so they all the way from your patterned carpets to just a solid cut pile. Very cleanable. They usually recommend a hot water extraction would be the best way to start any type of carpet cleaning, or cold, depending on what the stain is, of course. May I also mention that all carpet manufacturers will have on their website an excellent guide to care and maintenance for these materials. So not every carpet is going to be cared for exactly the same way. A smart strand may be cared for differently than, say, a wool fiber, being that it is a natural fiber. Wool is a natural fiber, so therefore its care and maintenance maintenance is a little bit different. But they all will tell you to get as much moisture as you can out of the carpet when you have a stain and catch it as quickly as you can, of course. And then once you do that, sort of see how that stain looks. Oftentimes they'll tell you to wait the stain down with a damp cloth, like put a gallon jug with a damp cloth on top of it, and try to wick that stain all the way up from the bottom of the carpet fiber up to the top. So it will be, it's a little, sometimes you'll think you get all the stain out and it might be just on that top layer, and later you might look at it again and feel like there's more stain showing. Oftentimes it's just that moisture has continued to wick its way up and just come to the top surface. So that's kind of just a general approach, but we always recommend that people would take a look at the manufacturer's guidelines because they are different. There are some great carpet cleaners out there as well. And if you have a stain that you feel like does need some type of carpet cleaning, Shaw makes a stain and soil, R2X stain and soil carpet cleaner. They may call it just for floor care now. And it actually does a great job in getting stains out of most every fiber of carpet, maybe with the exception of wool. I try to tell people with the wool carpet, it is a specialty and you need to treat it as such. So there are specific cleaners recommended for wool carpet by the manufacturers that produce those carpets.
So what type of materials are easiest to clean?
Well, they're all easy within range. They all have their own specialties. For instance, a polyester fiber is going to be a very cleanable fiber, and it is going to resist that moisture that can sometimes sink in when you have a stain. As well as the Smart Strand, it's much the same way. The nylon is also going to be very cleanable, and most all of those will have some sort of stain and soil treatment attached to them in some way, shape, or form. For instance, the Shaw manufacturer uses an R2X stain and soil treatment, which is what I guess was my best word, which is shown that with over the course of time, 10 professional cleanings, it should still be resisting the stain as well as it did on the very first one. Of course, as the carpet ages, it's a little bit trickier to get stains out of a carpet because some of the soil and stain resistance has continued. But if we're just talking for pets, et cetera, and children, if we're talking cleanability, they all have some strong suits, and sometimes you have to take into account the total package. Where's the carpet going, as well as what the cleanability is. So it's kind of a total package. You hate to focus just on one characteristic or feature of what they're needing to do in their home.
Right. So do you have any recommendations? You see these commercials that will say, well, this professional carpet cleaning service can actually damage your carpet. This one is better. And I'm not asking you to pick a brand or anything, but if you're recommending just a type of cleaning for your carpet, are there any types of professional cleaning that you can get that might do some damage to your carpet? Or what kind of things would you recommend if you're going to have a professional come in and really clean your carpets?
Well, I don't know that one particular carpet cleaning is like one suits all carpets. I think it's more of checking into the particular carpet that you have and deciding that you need to go down that road in order to best clean the carpet, also taking into account the stain that you have. So yes, I do understand what you're saying. No, I would not recommend necessarily across the board a particular type of carpet cleaning because I don't think that would be that wouldn't be suitable. Just like you don't clean your clothes with just a particular, you treat an oil stain differently than maybe you just treat a chocolate milk stain or an iced tea stain. They're going to be a little bit different depending on the fiber as well as depending on the type of stain. So most all of the manufacturers, though, will recommend the hot water extraction or even a cold water extraction to get that first level out, because at that point, if you can get most of that out, any damage done to the carpet is going to be minimized. And also, they don't usually recommend a heavy abrasiveness to the carpet because that tends to open up the fibers a little bit. And at that point, you're kind of opening yourself up to future potential stains.
Right. So since we have 2 dogs in our house, we have a spot bot that we use all the time, and then we have, carpet shampooer. But then I do wonder sometimes with certain types of stains, should I be using this, or is it bad if I'm constantly, cleaning and shampooing my carpets?
Well, it's not constantly bad if you're cleaning and shampooing those carpets, because you certainly don't want the stain to stay in there and dry. So obviously, certainly try to get it out as quickly as possible. That being said, it's also anything that you can do to prevent that stain from setting in, whether that means just keeping it damp until you can work more diligently on that stain in a careful manner. Blotting out the moisture as much as you can would always be your first step. And then just a light, like you said, even with the shampooer, if you happen to have a home shampooer, something where you could even just run just water across it and suck that water back out, that's going to help pull out any additional stain that you would have. Now, that's not going to take care of everything, and once again, I think that's where we really rely on the manufacturer. They will literally give you a list on the website. I checked it just the other day for a customer, and on one of the websites, it actually listed out what they recommended as solutions to use for a particular type of cleaning that went with a particular fiber of carpet. So sometimes it's as simple as a mild dish soap with water that you would apply and blot out and rinse. Sometimes it may require maybe some additional, a little more strenuous, something that maybe has some vinegar in it or something of that nature. So the websites do a great job of breaking it down, because the carpet manufacturers realize that the hardest thing about carpet is keeping it clean and sanitized and stay safe. So a lot of people would, look to that to know that that would be a great product to a great source, so that you would be able to find the best type of cleaning for your carpet.
It makes sense. It's funny, Pamela. A couple of years ago, we got the stain that everyone dreads on a light-colored carpet, or really any carpet, is red wine. And we were just, there were people here. We were all Googling, like, what do we do? And you don't want to leave it there and let it set in. You don't want to put a towel down and push it down further. So it's probably a good idea to, maybe Google some of these things, do research on exactly what carpeting you have, so that you're not, wasting valuable seconds trying to Google each one of these. So I guess that's what you'd recommend, is Google your brand of carpet, do a little research ahead of time so you know, right?
Right. I mean, and most people aren't going to do that until they have a stain. Let's be honest. We're not always totally proactive about finding out adequate information. But I think, if you can do that ahead of time, then you're going to be most effective when cleaning your carpet. And unfortunately, my memory can't give you an itemized list of best type solutions for every type of carpet, and because some manufacturers will recommend something slightly different than what someone else might recommend. But you can always go to the manufacturer, and they will always have a maintenance and care. They'll usually have recommendations on what type of vacuum they would prefer that you use on the carpet, because sometimes that can also affect the longevity of the cleanability of the carpet as well, and just the way your carpet will maintain and look in the end. So there's a lot of good information out there. And years ago, we would have had a brochure to hand you that would provide you this kind of information. And everyone pretty much has gone to an online resource for this type of information.
Yeah. So carpets are definitely the hardest to clean, wouldn't you say? If you have kids and pets, you just know that if you choose carpet, you're going to have to be dedicated to cleaning, right?
Right. I mean, carpet is going to be your most stressful point of cleanability when it comes to care for it with pets or spills or accidents. It doesn't matter who it is or what age they are, it's going to happen. So I think the carpet is always the most difficult. Every other surface that we would recommend for pets, etc., is going to be an easier care and maintenance type product because most of those are going to be hard surface in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't mean that they can't be stained or whatever, but 9 times out of 10, you are going to be able to get those sort of stains out.
So let's talk about which of all the types, because you guys have tile and you have every type of flooring that you could imagine. You have tile and hardwood and vinyl. And so let's talk about which carpet or which flooring would you recommend if you do have kids and pets and maybe you don't want to have to be constantly cleaning up your carpet.
Well, a lot of good hard surface products are out currently. So there's been a very big surge in what we would consider an LVP or a luxury vinyl plank or LVT luxury vinyl tile product. And it will be advertised as pet-proof, kid-proof, waterproof. I always say water-resistant, kid-resistant, and pet-resistant because in the end, something can happen to everything. But at the same time, these products are totally water-resistant from the top down. So what that means is anything that hits that surface is not going to damage the surface of the product. So it can be cleaned with mild soap and water. It can be mopped. It can with a wet mop or a damp mop. It can be spot cleaned if you've got a party going on and all you need is just to wipe it up real quick. You can do that and just something damp so that if it's a sticky product, you're not damaging, you can get the sticky off the floor or whatever. But it is definitely a very cleanable product. It's also very scratch resistant. So if you have pets that are active pets and children that like to run cars across the floor or something of that nature, then it's going to be more scratch resistant than a hardwood product would be. It has taken leaps and bounds from the design category as to the way it looks, the texture that they have been able to create on this product is amazing with duplication of knot holes if it's a wood look, mineral streaks, and all of that sort of thing are just amazingly replicated. So it's a great product for that. There's also another surface product it's a waterproof laminate. And laminate in the past has been something that sometimes could scare people because it could swell on the core of it could swell if it were to get wet. So with the waterproof laminate, they have developed a process where it can be, it has like a waterproof coating on it, hydroseal type of thing, so that the locking mechanism is also protected in this product. And it is just very well put together, and it is a great product for pets and kids as well. Very scratch resistant. It is probably the hardest surface and the hardest surface to scratch. So if you happen to have a lot of pets or large dogs, sometimes this can be a benefit because it's also waterproof, so you can just clean it up, wipe it up, you can damp mop it, you can wet mop it. There are some that are not suited for that wet type surface, so some laminates are not going to be considered waterproof, but most of them are now. And even with something that sits on it, even with those that are not considered waterproof, and they just are really saying that they are water resistant. Usually have like a 72-hour like spill shield, and those would also be very doable products for that type of situation.
And what do you think about tile? I know that it's very hard. So if you have little kids, you wouldn't want, a child to like fall onto tile. But as far as, the cleanability and that kind of thing when it comes to your pets, like, what would you say about tile?
Well, tile's an excellent product. It's always been the cleanable surface long before all these other products came out. So the hardest part about cleaning tile is the grout line. So depending on the location of where this product would be put and where it's installed and how often you're on it and so forth, and how easily you clean, it's going to be a great surface to be cleaned up. It is hard. It is also going to be cold, and that's the hesitation for a lot of people for installing tile in large areas. However, of course, in areas like Florida and California and areas of Texas and that sort of thing where they tend to be a warmer climate more all year round, they have been putting tile in their homes for years because of the water resistance and the durability and the cleanability. So it's definitely still something to be considered. And many times, I don't want to say 9 times out of 10, but let's say 7 times out of 10, people are often going to put a soft surface on top of that, be it a rug of some sort. And so that will sometimes soften the area and prepare it for you if you are concerned about, using tile in that space.
Right. Yeah, tile's always been kind of the go-to, and now it's got some
Absolutely.
competition. Let's
Yeah,
talk about
it does.
hardwood floors and things that are they making more stain-resistant hardwood floors now?
Hardwood floors are not necessarily stain resistant, but they don't really stain. What happens to a hardwood floor is that if there's a lot of water or moisture that lands on that hardwood floor and it remains for a period of time, it can affect the structure of the wood. So it's going to change possibly your finish on the wood, but as far as the color goes, it's not necessarily going to be impossible to get up. With an engineered wood floor, of course, it can cause some additional issues. Even though structurally engineered wood is great on concrete slabs and in areas where moisture is a concern as far as from the structure part of it, it is not as resistant to water on the surface. So it's kind of a catch-22. People love their hardwood floors, and they like the look of a wood floor, and so they tend to still go to that. But wood and water are not the best of friends as far as that part goes if you're talking about a structure. It can change the color a little bit. It can cause some delamination in an engineered wood if you were to get moisture underneath it and so forth, like at a threshold for an outside door or something like that. Over time, it can discolor it. So it's not impossible to change the color of the wood by any stretch of the imagination, and it can cause it to cup or, kind of turn up on its edges there in different areas. So if you were to have a leak, say from your refrigerator, ice maker, or something of that nature, then you could certainly see some effects that way. They are always improving the finishes. Any pre-finished hardwood floor is going to have a manufactured UV cured aluminum oxide finish, so it's going to be more resistant to that moisture issue than a site finished floor would be. But at the same time, even the polys, the satin finishes that we put on the surface now that are site finished, they're very resistant as well.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the styles and trends you're seeing in hardwood floors as 2021 gets started. What are things that are any different than maybe we've seen over the last few years?
Well, I think one thing that I feel like we're seeing is we're also seeing, we are continuing to see lighter floors. I think people have discovered that a dark floor is going to tend to show more dust, more crumbs, more debris on your floor than a light or mid-tone floor might do. And so it also makes the home a little bit brighter. So if you are converting from, say, a beige carpet to a hardwood, if you can resist going to a dark floor, then your overall brightness and lightness within your home will remain much the same. Because the floor is a large portion of any room, and of course it can affect the way colors look in the room. It can affect how dark or light the room is. So, I mean, there are a lot of things to take into account. We still are doing some wider plank. One other trend that is definitely continuing is more of a matte finish on our hardwood surfaces. People are going away from the high gloss shine or a glossy shine. We're going more to a matte finish. Some of that is function and some of that is design. Functionally, it shows less scratching, etc. As well, with the matte finish, if you get a scratch, it's not going to be as noticeable if you don't have a high gloss finish to go through. That's just a fact of wood and the fact of the finish, and people are seeing that and moving more to that trend.
Are you seeing more grays at all with the hardwood floors, or is it just pretty much, just lighter colors in general? For a while, everybody went crazy on gray. So are
On
you
gray?
seeing that in
Oh,
the
okay.
hardwoods? Yes.
Yeah. No, I am seeing some warmer tones come into play. Definitely, like I said, it still may be a lighter floor, but it definitely has a little more warmth. I think people are finding that a slightly warmer floor can also go with most any decor. They're not necessarily going to an orange or a red undertone, but they are definitely warming up their floor just a little bit. We also are doing a lot of white oak because a white oak has less of a pink undertone than a red oak does. And therefore, when you stain it in a lighter finish, it's not going to pull that pink or reddish undertone. It's going to pull more of a neutral color. So sometimes if you're going a little darker, then you're going to pull a little bit more of a neutral brown, or if you're going lighter, it's just going to be a little bit more of a light finish with a slightly different undertone. And that's working well with the colors that are out and around.
Yeah, when we first moved in our house 14 years ago, so everything's out of style, right? Those very shiny hardwood floors were really in. And then since we did have some water staining and we had them redone and sand and finish, and we don't have that shiny look, and I like it so much better.
Some people just feel like it's just lighter, brighter, just happier to a certain degree. And, don't get me wrong, it runs the full range from a very light floor to a mid-tone to something that's darker because a lot of people like that contrast if they have white cabinetry or ivory tone cabinetry or a soft gray. They really like that contrast with the dark floor. So we're still doing that. Absolutely. It's not gone. It's just changed a little bit.
So in the most high-end homes that you're working in right now, because that's where things tend to start and then and then come down, you're still seeing some of the dark hardwoods and the white planks and that kind of thing still today?
We still see some of that, yes. It maybe not quite as dark as it was at one time, and definitely not as doesn't have as much red undertone. But we do still see some dark. If someone's coming in and doing a total replacement or they're building a new home, we tend to hit that midpoint to slightly lighter. But if someone is moving into maybe a new home for them, but maybe their furnishings are more suited to a warmer tone floor, sometimes we'll still get a little bit warmer tone requests for hard surfaces. And then once again, oftentimes they'll be putting down a rug, which will lighten and brighten the area.
Yeah. So Pamela, are you seeing that people, as this pandemic, I mean, everything that affects us as humans becomes a design trend, right? A few years ago, I remember during the economic downturn, people downsized. They got smaller places and that kind of thing. So are you seeing, as people deal with this pandemic, a need for more like comfort, more warmth around their house. It almost sounded like from some of the things that you said that we're really seeing that return to just a very comforting, warm type of environment.
Well, that may be the cause of it, because I do feel like, as far as the trend goes, we're warming up our gray tones. We're warming up some of our wood tones. And that may definitely be the cause, because people are spending so much time and they're wanting that comfort and that coziness. I just also think, as trends come and go, it's always been this way in the design field. Every 4 to 5 years, you end up with a train of color variation, and it can start on the West Coast and make its way to the East Coast, and anything in between. So I am definitely seeing the use of a little bit more color in some, if they're doing rugs, they may be doing a rug that has a little bit more color. There's definitely more of that navy or blue tone out there. Even a lot of our wall tile, we're continuing. And manufacturers are continuing to develop colors, and oftentimes most of what we're looking at is something that's more of a denim blue or a brighter blue or that sea-type blue of some sort, and all of that is playing a role in what people are doing in and around them.
It's fascinating. You're right. Everything has to change. It's constantly
It does.
changing.
Everything has to change for us all to survive.
Right. So do you have any final things you'd like to say? Anything I haven't asked you about?
Really, we are continuing to move on trend with more hard surface and less carpet, except in a lot of bedrooms and in areas they really want to add that warmth or coziness about them. And then with that, we're adding rugs to that mix, which I think is part of the drive for adding a little more color to the palette. A little bit lighter floors, and I think the biggest thing with carpet and maintenance and pets is just to make sure you consider your lifestyle and what best suits your lifestyle, whether it is a Pet Protect carpet that has, Stain Master, or a Smart Strand that has good cleanability and full pet warranty, or if you need something that has a little bit of both. We have to take into consideration all the factors in order to find a product that's best suited for the client.
And that's what's great about Fleming. You guys can just absolutely guide your clients in the right direction, and you ask a lot of questions about how you live and that kind of thing. So you never feel this high pressure to buy or to be pushed to a more expensive product. You really just feel like you're getting a little bit of an education to help you make the right decision. So that's a thing I personally, as a client, have really liked about Fleming.
Well, that's our goal in the showroom, especially, is to make sure our job is to educate the client on the products available to them. I mean, there are a lot of products out there, and many people will walk in and say, oh my goodness, this is overwhelming. And we try to bring that in and talk more specifically about what their needs are, because in the end, if you sell a client the wrong type of product, it's going to cause them issue and they're going to be unhappy, and we're going to need to solve that for them. So if we ask the right questions and encourage them to consider all of their options and go from there, it makes everyone much happier.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see someone from Fleming Flooring next month. Not sure if it'll be you or not, Pamela, but thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Donna. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too.